parent and child objects. In this video we're going to see how parents can group together objects, essentially that becomes their children. We're going to create a hierarchy which is easy to navigate. We'll be using this to logically group our pieces together. Now when we're doing parents and children, the children can have children and those children can have children as well. So you can have a whole family there, so parent, child, grandchild and great-grandchild, etc. So looking at our hierarchy, now going from left to right, this is roughly how the outliner will be looking. Where we have the chess scene itself, there will be a light, some objects in our scene in the camera and a couple of other things as well. Now at the moment we've already got an empty in our scene, which is the white pieces, and under that we're going to put the pawns, the rooks, the knights, the bishops, the king and queen, etc. And looking at the number of other objects we have in our scene, it might be worthwhile, we'll see in the outliner, looking at the numbers there, it might be worthwhile actually putting the pawns in their own little empty as well, just so we can have good control over all of those bits and bobs. But we'll see how that looks in the outliner when we start working with it. So talking about the outliner, let's pop over into Blender. Okay, so over in Blender, we just need to, first thing I'm going to do is just tidy up our view. So I'm just going to hide the timeline at the bottom since we're not using it. I'm going to hide the tool shelf and hide the properties pane on the 3D editor. I'm just going to move this section across because we're mainly going to be dealing with the outliner in this case. I'm going to leave the 3D view here because when we select our individual meshes, we can see what's going on. Okay, so the first thing we need to do here is start grouping these items together. And we can see here we have our scene. Inside the scene there are a load of options. We've got at least one mesh object, we've got several mesh objects, which is why we're doing this organisation. We've got the camera, we've got the lamp as well. These can all be parented or childed if you wanted to. So I think with all of this in the hierarchy already, it might be a good idea to group even our small pieces together. So the first thing I'm going to do is how to assign a parent object to its children. So we'll start with the bishops here because we've only got two of them, so it won't be a repetitive task anyway. But at the moment they're just by themselves in our hierarchy. So I'm going to give them an empty first of all. So I'm going to go add empty, and again just a plain axis is absolutely fine. I'm going to call this empty white bishops. So the way that a parent is done is you select in the order, or rather the last thing that you select will become the parent. After all three items are selected, ending with the thing we want to be the parent, we can go down to object, where it's and scroll up to where it says parent and just go to object, and we can see here Control and P is the shortcut, and then it will say set parent to, and we just want object here. So now we've done that, we can see that white bishops has two meshes associated with it looking at the outliner, and when we drop that down we can see our bishops beneath. Now what you will notice, and was a bit counterintuitive when I started using Blender, was when you click white bishops, it only selects our empty here. It does not select the meshes beneath. If you want to select everything beneath, depending on what you want to do, so say we wanted to hide both the white bishops without selecting them all, we could control and click on our empty, and that would select everything. Then if we click the little I or pressed H, we could hide all of those by clicking control. You have to have control down when you click. So to select them all, we can select them all in the outliner by holding down control. To hide them all, we'd have to do the same, and that similar operation applies to everything else. Finally, we can nest this inside white pieces. So we select our first object, or rather in this, well, it is an object, we select our first object, and then we select our second object whilst holding down shift, so both are selected, and then go to object, parent, on object, and again control and P. So in this window here you can just go control and P and set parent to object. Now under white pieces we have white bishops, and under that we have low poly bishop 1 and 2. In fact I might name them 1 and 2 now, just for neatness. Okay guys, it's challenge time. I'd like you to finish off the organisation of the hierarchy. So assign the pawns a parent empty, called white pawns, and then make the white pawns empty a child of white pieces. Pause the video now, and go give that a go. Okay guys, welcome back. Let's hop straight on over into Blender. Right, so we're almost here with these pawns. So the first thing we need to do is create our empty that we're going to assign as the parent to all of these pawns. So add empty plane axis. I'm going to call this white pawns, WNS, excellent. I'm going to select all of these, holding down shift as we go, with the final one being white pawns. Then I'm going to go over here, cursor has to be in the 3D window, go Control and P, set them to the object, excellent, so that's tidied up our hierarchy no end. And then finally I'm going to select white pawns, it's already selected, and put them under white pieces, again Control and P, and set to the object. And now we've got a much neater hierarchy. As you can see, there are now the white pieces and the chessboard. Excellent, and when we open up that, we have our white bishops and white pawn. Oh, it looks like we had the series of objects selected, so I've made a mistake there. So let's reassign these the parent object of white pawns. I forgot to deselect before going forward, and that's excellent. That's popped all of those under there. So white pieces, white bishops, we've got 2 meshes under there. White pawns, we should have 8 meshes, which we do. And if you wanted to, you could go through here and name these appropriately if you wanted to. And to keep that naming convention going without doing too much work, the first one will just be called 0 to 7. Excellent. How did you guys get on? See you in the next lecture.